Hello everyone, welcome all to our new session on the age of Dryden, prose and the drama. Come, let's go. The Restoration says Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold says that the Restoration marks the real moment of birth of our modern English prose. So it is by its organism, that is an organism opposed to length and involvement, and enabling us to be clear, plain and short. That English prose after the Restoration, it breaks with the style of the times preceding it. It finds the true law of prose and it becomes modern. So it becomes modern in spite of superficial differences, the style of our own day. Okay, and then the sentences. So the sentences were long, parentheses were numerous. So the construction adopted was often that rather of Latin than of English. So they adopted Latin construction than of English syntax. In the new prose, everything is changed. So the sentences are much shorter and it is a simple one. The large straggling mosses are broken up. So the parentheses and classical inversion, so they all are cleared away. So such changes made it is evident for ease in writing and reading, and also for directness and lucidity. And then what to say, the establishment of the new prose was not quite so sudden as Arnold's statement might lead us to think, nor was it the work of any one man. So, but in a brief survey like this, Dryden has his special claim upon our attention as the first of a really great prose writers in the modern style. So, Dryden's prose writing consists of mainly of essays and prefaces dealing with a large range of questions connected with poetry and the drama. So as the Restoration saw the rise of the new prose, it also saw the real beginning of modern criticism. So there had already been a certain amount of criticism in England. So it for the first time, people addressed themselves systematically to the study of the principles and laws of literature. So Dryden, our first great modern prose writer, in which is also our first great modern critic. His work is thus of capital importance as a commentary upon the tastes and ideals of the rising classical school of literature. On the whole, his best criticism is to be found in his writings on the drama, and particularly in the earliest, the most masterly all of them, the essay of dramatic poesy. So in that, he considers the respective principles and merits of three chief types of drama. So the three chief types of drama are the classical drama of the Greeks and Romans, the neoclassical drama of the French, and the romantic drama of the English. So it justifies the use of rhyme in place of blank verse on the stage, and to vindicate the honor of our English writers from the censure of those who unjustly prefer the French before them. So he accepted the limitations and prejudices of his age. A good deal of his criticism has but slightly permanent value. Okay. um, the Restoration also has the real beginning of modern criticism, and then the prose literature of Dryden says is that of John Bunyan. Okay, so Bunyan was born at Elstow, Bedfordshire. So he fought for a time in the Civil War, and also his autobiographical grace abounding. It was the work of his captivity. So the first part of the Pilgrim's Progress, it belongs to a second imprisonment of 6 months in 1675. So he had obtained a license to preach. So it became the regular minister of the Baptist congregation. Okay, after that, his four great works are Grace Abounding, The Pilgrim's Progress, The Life and Death of Mr. Batman, The Holy War. Okay, so he is the only man in our literature who has ever succeeded in writing a long prose allegory and in filling it out without any sacrifice of the symbolism. So, with the absorbing interest of a real human story. Okay. Um, If therefore we are asked to name the greatest product of Puritanism in English literature, definitely our choice should fall on The Pilgrim's Progress rather than on Paradise Lost. So finally, we must not overlook Bunyan's position in the evolution of English prose fiction. So the controlling didactic purpose and the allegorical form prevent us from putting The Pilgrim's Progress into the class of regular modern novels. Okay. And then um, Sir William Temple. So he is best known through his relations with Jonathan Swift. So the great value of that prose in philosophic exposition was distinctly shown by John Locke. So in his essay on the human understanding, treatise on government and thoughts and education. So the most interesting minor prose writing of the time for the personal reader, sorry, for the general reader, is to be found only in the work of two artists. Okay, so they are John Evelyn and Samuel Pepys. So Evelyn's diary, it is not it is read as a record of contemporary events, as it is seen from the point of view of a loyal, thoughtful, and high-minded royalist. In the same way, on the other hand, Pepys' diary is altogether apart from its historical value. So it is like one of the most enlightening of books. Okay, and then when we come to the drama part, the chief names are William Wycherley, William Congreve. So they were the most brilliant writers of the group. So another the great masters of artificial comedy are Sir John Vanberg, Gerard Farquhar. So they were the famous artificial comedians. And then for a time, its most popular form was that of the heroic drama, in which love, gallantry, and courage were depicted on a gigantic scale with little reference to life, and the dialogue of which was filled with sonorous rant and bastic extravagance. So even in his essay on dramatic poesy, we could see the rhyme. It will be remembered by Dryden. And then Dryden himself was the principal master of this form, which will be shown in the perfection in his Tyrannic Love or the Royal Martyr, and also the two parts of his Conquest of Granada. And then Nathaniel Lee. So he wrote his first in rhyme and then in blank verse. Okay, and then Thomas Otway. So he had written a work titled Orphan and Venice Preserved. Okay, so it had kept his success for so a longer period. Okay, and then its grossness in the end drew down upon it a tremendous castigation from the Rev. Jeremy Collier, whose short view of the profaneness and immorality of the English stage, it caused an immense sensation, and it also had a salutary effect. Tragedy, in meanwhile, tragedy, though it kept free from the profligacy of comedy, was equally artificial. Okay, like comedy, tragedy too became artificial. Okay, and then its principal interest lies in the vivid descriptions, so which it gives of the men and manners of the day and the habits, fashions, and scandals of the town. So in its representation of the gossip of the streets, the coffee houses, and the playhouses, and in its record of the personal life and doings, the domestic troubles, the jealousies, philanderings, successes, and disappointments of the irrepressible diarist himself. Okay, so it is something unique. Okay, so Dryden is not only a great writer, along with that he was also a great critic. So with this point I am concluding this video. Hope you all are clear with all the points. Okay, thank you so much for your patient listening.